Savvies. I am so excited to chat with you today. As always, I just love our Tuesday live streams. We normally go live about twice a month, but for the next few weeks, I'm going to be going live every week, which is really fun. We are gearing up for our Savvy system launch, our summer promo where we open the doors to the Savvy system, and we usually have hundreds of people come in. It's a really exciting time. And so because of that, I want to be here in the next couple of weeks to answer questions, to introduce you to virtual assistants. If you are maybe newer in your business or you're thinking, is this right for me? That's what we're going to be talking about over these next couple of weeks. I'm very, very excited for it. So today, we're going to really dive into, is a virtual assistant business right for me? Is this the right path? Would I even enjoy doing this type of work? I'm going to peel back what I was feeling like when I first started my business and the questions that I had, right? And so I have a feeling that some of you guys are going to resonate with this for sure. So we're going to dive in. And of course, I always leave some time at the end for Q&A. So if you have questions throughout this entire live stream, just go ahead and drop them in the comments below, and I will make sure to answer your questions. That's what we're here for. As the Savvy team, we're here to support you guys and really help you in this journey. So before we do that, though, we have something very exciting. If you don't know, we just did a massive giveaway. So over the past month, we've been running this giveaway because we wanted to award one lucky winner our Savvy system, lifetime access to our Savvy Vault, our Essential Skills for VAs course, really the entire bundle of everything you would need to start a virtual assistant business from scratch. So I think we want to do it. Yeah, drum roll. You just want to put BDDDDD in the comments. Brrr. Is that how you spell? Brrr. I don't know. Tell me in the comments how you think you spell brrr for the drum roll, okay? Yeah, I love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and announce our giveaway winner. Ready? Brrr. I need more brrr in the comments, guys. Okay, our giveaway winner is Blair Taylor. Oh, I put from on there and I didn't write where she's from. I didn't look it up, but Blair, congratulations. From, we're not sure because I didn't actually put it in my slides. So Blair Taylor, you're going to get an email from us giving you all that full access to the Savvy system. Congratulations. Everybody say congrats to Blair. We're so excited for you. But guys, don't you worry if you were not a winner, because I have something very exciting to announce. We are going to be doing a summer crash course for all of you. So we're all winners. This is going to be a free crash course. It's 3 days long. It'll take about an hour each day. And we're going to be diving into, literally, we're going to choose your services together. We're going to choose your rate together. We're going to talk about marketing. So this is something that you want to be at. If we just actually got this all together for today's live stream, we're like, let's make sure that we have the link so you guys can go ahead and join, put it on your calendar. You can go to thevirtualsavvy.com/challenge. It's going to be a really, really good time. If you have joined one of our challenges before, you know that we get stuff done. We work inside of these challenges, and my team and I are there supporting you guys, actually helping you make these decisions so that you're literally making progress. Sometimes we just need that, the time and the place to say, all right, I'm going to decide on my services. I'm going to create my packages. I'm going to decide on my rate. I'm going to come up with a marketing plan. And this challenge is the accountability to do that. So if you're going to sign up for the challenge, make sure you let me know in the comments. Just say I'm in. And that way I know that you are signing up, and I will see you there. Okay. Let's do this, because this is what you showed up for today. Is we're going to talk about, is a virtual assistant business right for me? I would love to know, as well as we jump in, kind of where you're at in your business. It always helps me to tailor these discussions, kind of where you're at. Are you more in that launch phase of your business where you are deciding if this is for you. Maybe you're tinkering around with what are my services. We haven't really gotten to telling people about your business yet. We're just kind of in that launch phase. Or have you launched and it is getting clients time, right? You are focused fully on marketing, getting your first client or your next client. Are you kind of in that launch, or the launch phase is kind of before you've gotten clients? Grow is the next phase where you're actively marketing, trying to get clients. And then scale would be, hey, I have clients, I'm almost at capacity, and now I need a plan to build a team, right? Let me know in the comments where you're at, because again, it helps us. And those of us who maybe are a little further along, we can lend our advice to those who are just starting out, because there is room for all of us in this game, right? A lot of launch people. Amy is into marketing. Awesome. Just looking to get started. I'm at launch but lost. Hey, I get there. I've been there before, right? So we're going to talk about all of that today. So let me just start out by saying that virtual assistants has the potential to be an absolute game changer for you. I know that it was for me, and every single day, this is what we do at the Virtual Savvy, is that we work with people to decide what is your freedom life. And I think that that's what's so cool about a virtual assistant business is that, I think my husband's hammering something. That's what's so cool about a virtual assistance business, is that it really can be as big or as small as you would like for it to be, right? And so if you're thinking, man, I would love to run, a 6-figure agency, and I'd love to have a team, and I would love to have multiple clients, 10, 15, 20 clients, that's amazing, right? And there is a path to get there. Maybe you're like, hey, I'm a homeschooling mom who would like to make an extra $200 to $500 a month, right? There's a place for you too. And that's what's so cool about virtual assistants, is that it's kind of a choose your own adventure. Now, that doesn't mean that it's 100% easy, right? Of course, this is a business. This is something that you have to really dedicate yourself to and have a solid plan for accomplishing. But for the right person, for the right stage of life, it can be a game changer. It was for me, and I literally had no idea what I was doing. So if anybody is sitting here going, yes, Abby, this sounds awesome, but I literally don't even know where to get started. Even the concept of virtual assistants is really new to me. That's okay, because I was right there as well. Literally, I was pregnant with my second child, looking for a way to make money from home, when a friend said, you should be a virtual assistant. And I said, what's that, right? I had never even heard of it before. And that's where I started. I started research, which is the mode that some of you guys are probably in. And for me, I was really, really scared that this was just going to be another thing that I started and quit. I am admittedly a serial entrepreneur. And so I get ideas all the time, and I had done things, right? Like, it's not like this was my first rodeo. I had bought and resold textbooks online. I would go to thrift stores and try to find like designer jeans and resell them on eBay. Like, I had done a lot of things. I, started like a little nannying business, and all of it, like, it was just not what I was looking for. It wasn't a scalable model. It really required, I couldn't do it from the comfort of my own home on my own time. That was a huge, huge part for me. Even when I was, buying textbooks and jeans, yes, I could do a lot of that at home, but I'd have to physically go to the thrift stores and like buy the jeans with my toddler and pregnant belly, right? Like, it's like, it just didn't work. And it wasn't a scalable model. It was a lot on luck. And so when I found out about virtual assistants, I think the model really is just such a quality model. Our VAs are, I think this is really interesting, guys. When, if you research like most profitable businesses, literally do this as an experiment, they're going to tell you things like storage units, right? Okay, so let's talk about storage units for a second. One, how many of us have the money to build like our own storage unit, right? Now, there's ways you can get financing and all this stuff, but you're going to have to go into a lot of debt or find an investor, whatever. There's a lot of upfront costs. A storage unit business has an average of like 11% profit margins. Our VAs are making 30, 40, 50, 60, 80% profit margins, right? That means the money that's coming in, you get to keep so much more of it. And so for a lot of us, we need a certain amount of take home money. And so you don't have to be making, hundreds of thousands or, have a multi 6 or 7 figure business to really replace your income or to really make a good living for yourself. And so these are all the things that I was like, oh my gosh, this model is good. And all of the other models I had looked at, weren't good models. And so this is like, I think I'm going to do this. Yes, I was scared. Is this just going to be another thing that I start and quit? Right. Because I had done that a lot of times, but I had something very important to me. I had a why, right? How many of you have a why? It might not be a cute little baby, but for me, again, I was pregnant and I knew that I had this sweet baby coming, and we were living in a basement apartment, couldn't afford to send 2 kids to daycare if I wanted to, right? Like it just, that was my why, is that I need to do something flexible, that I can be there for my kids, that I can, work and provide and help get us out of this financial hole that we were in, but that I could also, be there to enjoy my family and my life. And that was it for me. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What is your why? Maybe it is to pay off debt, or to quit your job, or to help your spouse quit their job that they hate, right? Or to have flexibility to be there for your kids. What is your why? Because here's the thing, guys, this kind of business, it's not easy. There's not a business that's easy. If anyone sells you that magic pill, it's wrong. It will be tough. There will be times that you'll get discouraged, but your why has to be bigger than your fears. Your why has to be bigger than those obstacles. So let me know what that is. Okay. So is it right for you? Again, you got to know your why to know if it's right for you as the first thing. But these were some of the questions that I kind of had when I was starting that helped me answer, was this right for me? The first thing that I had to realize about virtual assistants is that it's honestly a really broad term. And so when you're like, will I like VA work? Well, the question that I would ask to you is, what type of VA work would you like? Because a virtual assistant is someone who provides administrative or technical or creative services for small business owners, right? And so maybe you look at the admin tasks like data entry. You're a person that just loves checking things off a to-do list. Anybody make a to-do list and make a to-do list just so you can check it off, right? You might be this admin type that you just love getting things done, being the finish line. You're organized, right? And so small business owners who are a little bit more chaotic, you can do those types of tasks, right? Maybe you're more technical, like really helping coach your client along and getting organized doesn't excite you, but going into like your cave, trust me, I know you guys, going into the cave and like, maybe you're good with finances. And so let me go into this like little cave and really work on somebody's books, or let me go into this cave and figure out this tech problem, right? If you're more technically inclined, then that may be where you focus your services. Maybe you're a creative, right? I definitely tend to be more of the creative type. And so I offered a lot of services like social media, right? I was writing blog posts. I eventually even niched down into copywriting because that was a form of creativity for me. And so there really isn't just one path. And I think that that's really important. Virtual assistants is an umbrella term. It's like freelancer, right? Like there are so many different types of freelancers. Well, there's lots of different types of virtual assistants. And so I just don't want you to get pigeonholed into, oh, I have to just do general admin, right? That's great if you can do general admin. There's a huge need for that, but you can be more technical. You could be more creative. You could niche down, right? A client that I'm working with one-on-one right now is niching down into like church and nonprofit services. I think that that's awesome. We've had people niche down into like the horse industry, literally. I mean, there's so many possibilities. And so we'll talk more about niching down in the challenge. So if you have questions about that, trust me, we'll get there. But I just want to acknowledge if that is one of the things that has been keeping you stuck is like, oh, maybe I don't fit the mold. Let's let the mold fit you, right? Okay. That brings me to number 2, which is that I could start with the skills that I already had. I think that this is one of the things, in fact, I know because we've had over 7,000 students go through our program. I know that this is one of the biggest objections that we get is, I don't know if I have the skills. And the thing is that when a client hires you, you guys have to realize that they're not coming in saying, I need you to build me out an email system and I need you to do. Most of the time, they're not asking you to create something that doesn't already exist. Now, if you get into higher level services, that might be true. If you're a Pinterest manager, they may say, I have no presence on Pinterest, so I need you to do that. But that's a specialty skill, right? I'm talking about these general admin services like answering customer service emails, sending out invoices, doing travel research and booking, right? Maybe writing a blog post or scheduling their social media. Most of the time, these small business owners are already doing those tasks themselves, you guys. So you're literally just taking a process off of their plate. Now, maybe you can improve it, right? You can come in and say, hey, here are some ideas to improve this system. But I think sometimes we get stuck because we feel like, oh, well, in order to be a VA, I'm going to have to learn everything there is about, Google Suite, and I'm going to have to learn QuickBooks so I know how to handle books, and I'm going to have to learn Canva so I can design their stuff, and I'm going to have to learn like 20 different platforms, and that's simply not true. I can't do QuickBooks. I have somebody else to do that, right? And so again, you can start with skills that you already have, these general administration skills, things that you are likely already doing for yourself, right? In your own business, you can do for small business owners. And so that was really, really big for me, was knowing, okay, I don't have to wait, a couple months and get all this extensive training. I can just start because I can lend a helping hand. And that is what so many small business owners really need. Which brings me to number 3, is that local business owners needed my help. Now, inside of our signature course, the Savvy System, we teach you all sorts of different marketing methods. We even dive into more marketing methods in our Savvy Vault Growth membership. We love to talk about marketing, right? But let me just go ahead and clue you in on a little secret. Local marketing is such a gem. This is where I first got started. And when I talk to VAs right now who are like doing the thing, one of the first things I ask them is, how are you plugging into your local community? And this tends to be one of the best places. It's a personal outreach template, right? This is my Buddy the Elf method, where you just tell everyone you know about your business, right? Even people who are small business owners, not asking them to be clients, but just, hey, I'm excited about this new thing that I'm starting. So many of our students get clients with just that initial outreach. We then move on to local networking groups, right? Local Facebook groups. Those are gems. And again, they're smaller, but it's a place to build relationships. Then there's local live networking events. These are great as well. If you're able to carve out even one a month, guys, it's just getting you in front of people and starting to build those relationships. Now, again, that's not my only method for marketing. I have tons of different methods on how to market, but it's usually where I tell people to start. And the reason is because it really gets you this sense of, one, it's starting to build relationships. It's starting to get the word out, right? Then there's something like very legit feeling when you go to a local networking event and you shake someone's hand and you say, my name is Abbey Ashley. I'm a virtual assistant, right? It just starts to make it more real. And so this is something that I want to encourage you with, guys. And I also want to tell you to keep going. Maybe you've done a couple of these things and it hasn't worked out the first time. Another student that I've been working with, her name is Tiffany. She called me 1 month in and she's like, Abby, I'm doing everything that you've told me to do. And it just doesn't seem to be working. And my biggest advice, I was like, keep going. It's just, remember, it doesn't take 100 people to sell out your service. You don't need 1,000 yeses. You don't need 100 yeses. For most of us, we need 4 yeses. She actually the next week signed a 5-hour per week client, and she's about to sign a 20-hour per week client. That's it for her. She could only do 25 hours a week. So that's 2. She needed 2 yeses, right? Your next yes is probably right around the corner. So keep going. All right. I got a little off track, but I was just very excited for that. All right. The fourth thing in deciding if, virtual assistants was right for me was really understanding what an independent contractor was. And I think that there's some confusion sometimes, and it can be tricky, right? But what I tell people when looking at an independent contractor versus an employee is the fact that you are your own business owner, right? Which means you decide when you'll work, how you'll work. You have your own tools for working, your own systems. So let's do an example. I don't know why I always use this example, but it works, right? Let's say that I had a plumbing issue at my house. My shower's completely broken and I know there's something wrong. I'm going to call a plumber, and I'm not going to tell the plumber, hey, I need you here at 2:00 tomorrow. I'm going to pay you $200 for this job, and I have all the tools you need here. That would be ridiculous, right? So that's the same mindset we need to get into whenever we're looking at our services, is that when someone comes to you, you're not saying, oh, what hours do you need me? What, any of that. It is literally, here's how I work. Here's my rate. And if they can't pay that rate, then they're not the right client for you, right? You choose when, how you will work. If somebody says, I need you from 8 to 5, guys, that's an employee. And sometimes people don't know. I'm not saying that there's all these big bad business owners out there that just are trying to take advantage of people. Maybe there are those people out there, but I think a lot of people just don't know. And so that's one of our jobs, is to learn what an independent contractor is, so you can do your boundaries. If you want to work at 2 a.m., guess what? You can work at 2 a.m. You're an independent contractor, right? So that was really important for me to learn, because again, one of the keys for me when it came to virtual assistants was flexibility. I needed that flexibility to be able to know if my kid was sick, that I could take time to take them to the doctor, or to pause in the middle of the day because I wanted to take my kids to the park. That flexibility is what meant everything to me. And so that's why an independent contractor versus an employee relationship is what was really important. And then the last thing that I learned when I was deciding if this was right for me or not was that I really didn't need a lot to get started. I think this is one of the other misconceptions that we have, is that, oh my gosh, I'm going to need, so much. And what I love about virtual assistants is it's such a low cost business to start, especially comparatively to other businesses, right? If I was starting, if I was starting a storage unit business, like I said, or an Etsy shop, or if I was starting a food truck, right? The amount that I would have to invest up front would be really, really big, versus a freelance virtual assistant business. You can really start with what you have. So here's what you actually need. This is it, guys. You need a computer. I've known people literally, even before they were able to afford their own computer, go into the library every day, use that computer. That's fine. Once you start working with clients, you might have to, might need a little bit more security. But if you're just doing your own business stuff and some general marketing for your business, guys, go to the library if you have to, right? But you do need a computer. That can be a laptop. I would not suggest working from a tablet or a phone. There's just things that you're not going to be able to do the same, and decently fast internet. Okay. Those are actual hardware requirements that you need. You need an element of figure it outedness. And yes, I made that word up. And I think that this was really good for me to realize, is that I didn't need to know everything to be a VA. I just needed to be able to find out where to go when I had questions. And so that could be that you are just a Google queen or a YouTube queen, right? Like you just know how to research and find the answer to something, a chat GPT queen, right? It may be that you really plug into a community like our Savvy's community, and you know, when I have questions, I have a place to go. But I'm going to be able just to figure it out. I'm going to stick to it until I figure it out. Which means that I had to get over not knowing it all. And you need to, that is something that you need in order to be successful in your business, is always having this attitude of learning, right? I am constantly being coached or buying courses because I always want to be growing. There always is somebody who has made it a few steps further than me that I'm going to learn from. If I think I can just do this all on my own, in fact, I know several business owners who just kind of have this attitude of like, oh, I can figure it out. I can figure it out. I can figure it out. And their businesses haven't grown, right? Whereas, I'm somebody that has always invested in courses and coaching, and my business continues to grow. And now I'm able to employ, we have 9 employees. We're a multi-million-dollar business. This is because I've just kept this attitude of I'm always going to be coachable. I'm never going to know it all, which means I'm always going to be looking for, how can I get more help in this issue? I also had to learn that it was okay to release a non-polished product. This is really hard for the perfectionists out there. And this is really, I'm not telling you not to do excellent work for your clients. I think that excellence is important, but there's a difference between excellence and perfection, because perfection honestly is unachievable. And if perfection is the goal, when you mess up, because you will mess up sometimes, then we're going to beat ourselves up so much. And so excellence is the goal, but not perfection. And so for me, that means, and it may be for you, right? Okay, I'm going to decide on my business name by Friday, and whatever I come up with, I'm just going to move forward with that. I can always change it later, right? Let me order 100 business cards instead of 10,000 because I could change this down the line, right? Or, my website's not perfect, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it because action over perfection is what I value. And so these are the things that I have found, especially people who have been successful, have had each of these elements. They've had the hardware, right? You notice that a lot of these aren't actual physical things because you don't need a lot. I'm not telling you all the software you need. I'm not telling, because most of this, guys, there are free versions of these things, right? It'd be great if you have a time tracking software, if you're going to be charging a client by time. There's free versions out there. You got to have a computer. You got to have fast internet. But these other things are just character traits. And then time to commit to the business. So I get asked this question a lot. How much time do I need to really make money in this business? And I would say if you don't have more than 5 hours per week to really commit to this business, that this may not be the time for you. Those who have, or maybe don't have, but are able to carve out 5, 10, 15 hours per week, up, 20, 30, 40, that's great. Please don't work more than 40 hours a week. But if you're able to carve out more, great, but at least 5 hours a week to really commit. And I'm talking deep work, right? Not like how I was working this morning when my kid is like, Mom, will you make me a bagel? Mom, can I play this game? Mom, let me say hi. I'm like on a Zoom call. He's like, hi, can I say hi? That's distracted time. And yes, it's summer. So sometimes I work distracted. And then today, right, that was this morning. Now I'm able to be focused. This is committed time to my business. And so you need definitely that 5 hours at least of committed time. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't carve that out, right? If you don't have that currently, but you really have to look deep at your schedule and say, do I have the time to commit to this? What I want you to know, and what I'm hoping that you are starting to get a sense of, is I can do this, right? And you're going to have to keep that mindset and keep that in front of you that, yes, I can do this, because that confidence really is going to carry you. So I want to go into a Q&A time, right? But I just want to share with you that this really is possible, guys. We have so many people, over 7,000 students that we've trained to get results like these. Thank you, Savvy System. I have my first paying client. He's a dream client. I started Savvy System in November, just put myself out there a few weeks ago on local marketing. He private messaged me. It's surreal. Thank you. Don't give up. Your client's out there waiting for you. I started this course in the middle of March. I officially launched in the middle of April. My May goal was just to have one client, just one. I'm entering June with 6. I'm in shock. This course taught me everything and more. Organization, running calls. It's been amazing. I learned it all here. Hello, friends. I want to share some exciting news. I just booked my 4th client. It's a $4,000 monthly retainer in a recording studio in New York City. Her niche is the entertainment industry. Bring a stay-at-home mom of 6 who never finished college. I never imagined this would be possible. You can do this, guys. So let's follow. I like Patty. I like where you're going. Put I can do this all the way in the comments because I want you to know that you know that you know that you can do it. And if you're like, I don't know if that could be me up on Abby's screen, then let me know. Ask me a question in the comments. What do you feel like is potentially holding you back from saying, yes, I can do this? All right. Again, before we jump into that Q&A time, I want to remind you that the Virtual Assistants Summer Crash Course is coming up in just a few short weeks. I'm so excited for it. I think we had close to 3,000 people last time join the crash course, which was awesome. We helped you guys choose your rates, choose your services, come up with a marketing plan. So it's a really hands-on 3 days. It's an hour a day for 3 days. So hopefully it's during your lunch break. If you work a 9 to 5, if you got to carve out that time, make it happen. We're giving you plenty of notice, but you definitely want to be there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to jump into a Q&A time. Let me know below what questions you have. I want to be able to answer them personally so that you can get to that, yes, I can do this place. All right. I see a few that we already had, so I'm going to jump into those first. All right. The first question that I see here is, any way to find online networking events? So yes, there are online networking events. They are fewer and far between, right? So it takes a little bit of digging, but you can definitely, research, Google online networking events. What I would really recommend if you just really can't get in person is to start out with a strategy that is, okay, so let me just talk to you about the concept of essentialism first. There's so many ways to get clients, guys, so many different ways. If you are spending your efforts on all of those different ways to get clients, you're not going to get very far, right? You only have so much energy. And so this concept of essentialism, it's a really great book, by the way. If you are looking for a book to add to your list, the book Essentialism is great. But you only have so much energy that you can expound in a day or in a week, right? And so if you're trying to go a bunch of different directions, all that energy isn't going to go very far. But if you take all that energy and you say, okay, for the next month, I'm just going to crazy commit to local marketing, networking events, making phone calls, talking to my local network, diving into relationships. All of that energy that you could be doing on, I'm going to post my social media 5 times a day, and I'm going to go on podcasts, and maybe I'll start my own podcast, and maybe I'll, be active on LinkedIn, and maybe if you take all of that energy and just really focus it into one place, you're going to go so much further. Give it a go. Give it a real go for 4-6 weeks. After that amount of time, if you're like, I've made no traction, then yeah, maybe switch courses, right? And say, okay, now I'm going to go all in on a LinkedIn strategy. I'm going to learn everything there is to know on how to get clients on LinkedIn. And I'm going to go all in with that strategy, right? So that brings me to what you're asking, Jaleesa, is can I choose an online platform? And the answer is absolutely yes, right? You can get clients via sites like Upwork or Fiverr, right? Fiverr, however you say it. There are sites like that. And if you're like, okay, I'm going to learn how to find high-end jobs and how to really nail proposals on these job sites, that's great. If you want to go into our Savvy's community where you have jobs posted, right? Or our Savvy System students who get those exclusive job ops, whenever you go in there, I'm just going to focus on nailing these. I'm going to really focus on a LinkedIn strategy, right? Or on an Instagram strategy or whatever it is that you choose. I'm going to learn how to run a Facebook ad that gets me leads. There's so many different ways to get clients, but my suggestion would be to really, really choose one. Facebook groups, right? Oh my goodness. I love, especially local Facebook groups, I think are really, really valuable. And it's pretty simple. You literally just type in where you live. So I live in Springfield, Missouri. Springfield, Missouri business is what I would type in, or Springfield, Missouri entrepreneur, right? Something like that. And then in Facebook, you just filter by groups and try to find local groups, and start building relationships. Again, some of them might have in-person meetups or might have virtual networking. So these are some of the things that you can do to start getting clients via, these online methods. But the key concept is, don't try to go 5-10 places at once. Really focus on essentialism and work really hard on one method of getting clients. Try it out for a good month, right? And then if after 4 to 6 weeks, and you've given 110% effort, you might say, this isn't my method. And then you switch and you try a different one, guys. And I think that, sometimes we can get discouraged because we have so many testimonials that people are like, 1 weekend and I got my first client. We've had someone, this challenge, this crash course we're going to do, we literally had someone get their first client in the crash course, right? And you see those results and you're like, wow. But again, this is not a competition. Your only competition is yourself. This is your journey, and it might look different. For some people, it takes 6 days. For some people, it takes 6 weeks, right, to get that first client. But that's the beauty of this, is that what we're selling in virtual assistants is monthly reoccurring revenue. And so that one client who is paying you $500 a month, right? Guys, that's a $6,000 contract that you just signed if they're going to stick with you for a year. And so I think that is really huge for us to remember, is that, okay, and then if I get 3 more yeses after that one of those $500 a month contracts, then I'm making $2,000 a month. And so it really doesn't take a lot to be able to replace your income with that in mind. All right, let's keep going. Josie, can anyone talk about how to do this while working a full-time job? So again, it comes down to your goals. What's your freedom life, Josie? Is it that you want to quit your job? Is it that you want to make some side income while you're working full-time and you don't plan to quit your job? And I think that that's going to be first. So if you're planning to stay in your job, then you're going to have to come up with, what are my working hours? Maybe you are committing, like, I'm going to work 7 hours a week, right? I'm going to work an hour a day, Monday through Thursday. And I have 3 hours on Friday because I have half days on Friday or something, right? Like, so what is that going to actually look like for you? And then what's your income that you can make in those 7 hours per week? Now, if you want to grow a business beyond that, then you may have to look at subcontractors, right? If the amount of money that you can only do in that amount of time is this much. Now, if you are looking to replace your income, which is one of my favorite things, I love it. We do these big, we celebrate big at the Virtual Savvy when you guys tell us, I just quit my job. Like, it's a big thing for me. I'm just here to get people out of their 9-to-5s, really. And especially if you hate your 9-to-5. If you love your 9-to-5, that's awesome. But we only have so much time on this earth. Like, why spend it doing something you hate? You should do it doing something that you absolutely love. So I love getting people into what I call their freedom life, right? So for you, if you're like, I want to actually replace my income, here's what I would suggest, is that you, again, come up with the hours you can work. Let's go back. Maybe it's only those 7, right? You're going to maybe you get a 5-hour a week client, right? So that would be 20 hours a month times, if your rate is $30 an hour, that's a $600 a month client. Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to pretend that money does not exist. And you're going to put that directly into a savings account. And you're going to come up with your freedom number. What is the amount that is in that account that you would feel comfortable quitting your job? And so there's multiple ways to get to that number, by the way. Maybe your number is 20,000, right? Because you need $5,000 a month. That would be 4 months of expenses. 20,000 is the number. But if you're like, man, what if I didn't need 20,000? What if I only needed 16,000 because I could reduce my expenses to 4,000 a month, right? And I'm doing very generic math here, please no. But you could reduce your own expenses, what you actually need in that emergency fund. You could look for other ways, like I'm only able to do 5 hours a week here, but I do have this piece of furniture I've been needing to sell that's worth $1,000. And so I could, it becomes your little stash. It's your little stash. It's your freedom stash. And so that's what I usually tell people is, you've got to come up with that number. And, let's say it took you a year. Let's say it took you an entire year to get to that number in that account. But after a year, you were able to quit your job. Like, would it be worth it, right? And just keeping that goal in mind. And then obviously, once you're able to quit your job, then you can get more clients too. And so, and maybe you can work more than 7 hours. I was just giving that as an example, but I hope that makes sense. Do you guys know, for those of you guys who are in like a full-time job right now, and you want to quit, do you have a freedom number? Do you have a number that is like, this is the amount I would need in order to quit? And if not, I challenge you to go figure it out. Okay, let's do a few more questions. How does someone who's an introvert do this? Patty, I love that you asked that question. We actually have some trainings just on how to market as an introvert, because I know, probably 50% or more of the VAs who come through our program are introverts. And so that can feel really overwhelming. But I would like to challenge you. Our introverts sometimes are our best marketers. And here's why. Marketing, especially for this type of business, guys, is not all about being flashy. You don't have to do any TikTok dances, okay? That's not the goal here. With this type of business, it's really about relationships. And I have found that sometimes our introverts are really good, deep relationships. You may not know 100 people, but you may have, 6 or 7 people that you are very, very, very close with, right? That you trust them and they trust you. And sometimes those 6 or 7 relationships and them believing in you and spreading the word about you can mean more than 100 relationships, right? You go to a networking event. Oh my gosh, that feels so scary, right? Number one, bring one of those 6 or 7 friends with you. That's one of my all-time hacks, is to bring a friend with you. So you're not bragging about yourself. Somebody else is bragging about you. It's like the ultimate hack. And you just feel more comfortable with a friend, right? But again, you don't need to talk to every person in the room. Just talk to a few people and ask them questions about themselves. Business owners love to talk about themselves, right? So you don't have to come with this huge spiel and I've got to market myself and whatever. Just talk to a few people, get some business cards, and everything else can be follow-up from your computer, right? And once you're actually doing the work, guys, most of the work you're doing, like, this is a great job for introverts because you're just at home on your computer, right? You're not having to get out there a ton. If you ask anybody, and maybe we had a couple people that said they were in the scale zone, launch, grow, scale. So you have multiple clients. For anybody who has been in business and is successful in business 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years out, where do you get clients? If you ask them that question, most of them are going to go referrals. The thing is that marketing in a VA business is hardest in the very beginning. It's that initial getting the word out and getting those first few clients. We call it the first client hump because it is the hardest one to get over. And once you get it, it's like, oh, I can actually do this. Like, this is a real thing, right? So get over that first client hump. Once you get a few clients and you do really great work for them, guys, they're going to start referring you to other people. So this moment of like having to promote yourself, which it just, I get it. Like no one likes self-promotion, right? But whenever you get past it and people just start doing that for you, it is just so worth it. So I hope that that's helpful. You got to push through the suck sometimes, right? Sometimes you do have to push through that. But I also think that, again, the actual work, I'm an extrovert. and actual work of VA work, like sometimes being in my house, I'm like, I got to get out. Like I will go to a coffee shop that's really loud just to be around people, which introverts probably think I'm crazy, right? But that is like, there's just something about that I need that. And so once you actually get over that client hump, the actual work of being a VA is awesome for you. So I hope that that's helpful. Great questions. You guys are just fielding some of the best questions. So I love this. This is what we're here for. I love doing this. Okay. Do we have to get a business name, permit, etc.? It's such a grueling process. I've tried before, ended up letting them lapse. Of course, I finished that part, but I don't start making money. So yes. So that is one of the things that you inside of the Savvy system, we have a step-by-step process, which includes you've got to choose your business name. You've got to get an EIN number, right? That's if this is all for U.S. businesses. We do have instructions for outside the U.S. too. But if you're a U.S. business owner, you got to get, you got to choose your business name. You've got to get that EIN number, which is going to allow you to open a bank account. You got to open your bank account. You're going to have to do your taxes annually. You do need to see if there are any local business licenses or permits that you have to get. All that happens on a local basis. Okay. And so we detail all of that out for you. And so if that's something that's not a strong suit for you, so some people, again, some of like the more maybe admin, you may be a little more like tech or creative like me. That kind of stuff is hard for me to keep on top of because I'm more of like the creative, deadlines type of person. And so people who are good at deadlines, you've got your spreadsheet, you're not going to miss a single one of those deadlines. If not, it may, systems, we can put some systems in place to remind you to re-up those things, right? Do you have a good calendar system? Do you have a good project management system that's going to remind you of those things? And then it may be useful for you to know that, in your business, like you may eventually have to hire somebody that is going to help with some of those things. So maybe you're the creative, more of a free spirit, and you're going to need somebody who is a details person. That was one of, literally when I started my business, hiring somebody that was basically like an organized VA for me was super, super helpful. And so that became a goal, right? And I didn't do it on day one. I was able to do that over time, was to hire additional people to help me. But that might be in some of your future plans. So again, number one, systems, having a project management system, putting those deadlines in and starting your day every single day with that project management system. As somebody who's a little up in the clouds and all over the place, like I'm the kind of person that's late to things. I don't like to admit it, but I'm just not the best at being on time. Like I'm a little all over the place, right? Every single morning without fail. Well, actually every single night without fail, I look at my calendar the next day. Everything is time blocked in my calendar, exactly what's going to happen when. And then when I sit down on my computer, I have a daily task list of, okay, check my calendar, check my emails, check my Slack messages, and check my notifications, because my project management system will tell me, hey, Abby, time to, file your taxes, time to pay your quarterly tax, or time to schedule this meeting. Like my project management system does that now because I've programmed it all in there. So that would be a recommendation that I would have for somebody that it's difficult to keep on top of some of those deadlines. Some of you guys are like, that's the easy part for me, Abby, which is awesome. You will make a great VA. You all make great VAs. We'll just be different types of VAs, right? Which is awesome. And then, that goes into what are the legal requirements for starting a business. So I talked about that a little bit. So you will need to have an EIN number if you're a US-based business. That is easy to get. It is free, super, super simple. You need to decide if you're going to form an LLC or not. The LLC does not really affect taxes or any of that. It protects you legally. In most states, you can actually start without an LLC. You don't have to do that from day one. But I do recommend that people eventually get an LLC. You also need to see if there's any legal requirements, like licenses, permits. So we can give you resources on where to find those, if there's any local requirements. And then the last is like your tax obligation, right? And so I recommend you keep track. This is why I recommend having a separate bank account. Keep really good track of everything. That's my biggest piece of advice. Your first year in business, you don't have to pay quarterly taxes. So you're just at the end of the year, like if I started a business right now, then come April of next year is when I would have to submit my taxes. So you can work with a bookkeeper at that point. You can do your own. For years and years, I did my own via just TurboTax, right? And as long as I kept really good records of what came in and what I spent, it was super easy. If it becomes difficult, that's when you know it's time to hire a bookkeeper. All right, I hope that helps. What are some things that we can put in a VA resume? I think this is going to be my last question because I want to make sure to, I said this would be an hour, so I want to make sure to respect y'all's time. So I actually don't recommend that you have like a resume necessarily. What we teach you to do is put together a portfolio. In fact, our Savvy System students get like a template portfolio that you just drag and drop and boom, it's done. And so what we have people put in that portfolio is usually a welcome letter. That's where you can show your personality. You can tell about your kids, your past experience. So a letter, if you can have a picture of your face, I think that's awesome. So have that welcome letter. You're going to list out your services. Here's all the services I offer. You're going to have your pricing and your packaging right there in the portfolio. You know, you can buy this bundle of 20 hours per month for $600. That's a $30 per hour rate, right? That's what we kind of look at. And then I really suggest that you have testimonials. Now you may think like, Abby, I've never worked with anyone. How could I have a testimonial? But if you, if you haven't worked with people yet, you can definitely, your first testimonials can be character reference testimonials. So ask your best friend, right? Ask somebody that you volunteer with at church. Ask your neighbor, whatever, right? Like, hey, would you be willing to write just a character reference? Like, Abby is amazing. She's super organized. I would trust her with anything. Signed, your neighbor's name. It doesn't even have to have a business next to it. They don't even have to be a business owner, right? And as long as they give you that permission, then you can use those. And then once you start working with real clients, you can sub those out with actual clients that you've worked with. And then the last thing in your portfolio is going to be that next step. So let's say you sent your portfolio to somebody. What is the next step in working with you? Probably a discovery call. That's what we call kind of that in between somebody being a lead and being a client. In between that is a discovery call. 20 to 30 minute call where you say, hey, here's a little bit about me. Let me learn a little bit about you. And you decide if it's a good fit before you sign a contract and actually onboard them as your client. So that is what I recommend as far as a portfolio goes. It's a great way to showcase your services. And these are the exact same things that you would put on a website. We're just going to put them in a PDF document before you do a website. And the reason why I say that, guys, is because so many people get caught up on websites. If you're great at building a website, go straight to a website. You don't have to do a portfolio. But if a website is going to take you months and months and you're going to stress over it and you're not going to be able to do action over perfection and all of the things, simply do a quick portfolio in Canva, PDF, and that's what you can send to people until you actually have a website. Okay. Awesome, guys. This has been so much fun. What's something that you learned today? Something that you're going to take away from today's discussion, right? It was basically, is a virtual assistant business right for me? So did you decide if a VA business is right for you? If not, that's okay. We'll talk about it again. We have more live streams coming up in the coming weeks. And one of the very best things that you guys can do, honestly, if you're still up in the air, or even if you've decided, yes, 100% a VA business is right for me, one of the best things you can do is come and attend this crash course. It is going to be really jam-packed. Today was a lot of me just kind of talking and teaching. This is going to be some teaching, but there's going to be a lot of hands-on too. Like, we're going to ask you guys to do things, okay? We're going to actually physically ask you to decide on your hourly rate, to decide on your services. We're going to be leading you through that. So it's definitely more course workshop style, and it's totally free. So make sure you register, add it to your calendar, make sure that you are there. I am very, very excited to see you. All right. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have an awesome, awesome rest of the day. Don't forget to choose action over perfection. And yeah, I'll see you next week for our next free live stream. Bye.